Hello, and welcome to Demo 29.3, integrating a RESTful repository that requires basic authentication with Syndeia Cloud via the web dashboard. We will be using Jenkins as an example repository for this demonstration. Jenkins is an open source automation server widely used by the software engineering and the IT DevOps community across the world to automate software build, test, and deploy processes, also known as CI/CD pipelines. Jenkins provides a REST API to query and create jobs and pipelines and check their status in real time. And that is a REST API we will leverage to integrate Jenkins with Syndeia Cloud through the web dashboard. Specifically, in this demonstration, we'll show you how to integrate Jenkins using basic auth. We'll show you how to add RESTful requests to get jobs at the root level of a Jenkins server, to get the contents of a job, get a specific job or a pipeline, get all the runs of a pipeline and view the results, whether the pipeline passed or failed, and browse the responses on the Syndeia web dashboard. We need to make sure that systems that we use to automate our IT processes, systems that are used for building, testing, and deploying software and hardware components, can also be part of our digital threads. For example, a system engineer or a project manager often has these kinds of questions. What specific jobs or pipelines are being managed? How many times a specific pipeline or job has been run? What are the results of each pipeline run? How many tests are passing or failing? When was the last build deployed? How many system or software requirements have been successfully verified? And more like these. Answering these questions requires that something like Jenkins or any kind of CI/CD pipeline system is integrated or be part of a digital thread, so we can use to navigate to that data that is being managed by the CI/CD system and get answers to these questions. That makes Jenkins, and specifically the integration of Jenkins with Syndeia, very interesting. With that, let's dive into the demo. Now, before we add Jenkins onto the Syndeia web dashboard, we're going to look at Jenkins API. The Jenkins server provides a remote access API with JSON support. We'll be using that to submit requests to Jenkins to get jobs, details of jobs and pipelines, to look at all the runs of a pipeline and look at which runs passed or failed. Now, when I log into Jenkins directly from the Jenkins web dashboard, I see an interface like this where I see the jobs at the root level. In this case, there's one called Sandbox. And if I expand this Sandbox job, I see it has got contents, like it's got 2 folders and it's got other jobs or other pipelines inside it. And if I go to one specific pipeline, in this case, I'll switch to the Blue Ocean viewer, I can see all the runs of the pipeline. And specifically, I can see which runs passed and which runs failed. And this is the kind of data that I would like to get from Jenkins and in the Syndeia Cloud web dashboard, so that I can connect this data to other artifacts coming from other integrated repositories in the context of a digital thread. So remember, these are the kinds of calls we'll show you how to get directly from the Syndeia Cloud web dashboard using Jenkins API. So we go to the Syndeia Cloud web dashboard. Here, we look at that RESTful repository category here. See the plus icon next to it. Click on the plus icon. And here we're going to add the URL for the Jenkins server that I have access to. Give it a name. Give it a description. And Jenkins is using basic auth here, so we'll use basic auth. And we'll provide the username and password. And click on the create button. That would add Jenkins as a RESTful repository in the Syndeia Cloud web dashboard. Expanding that repository takes a few seconds as Syndeia initializes the data for that repository. Next, we want to get the jobs at the root level. Remember, that was a Sandbox job at the root level, which we really want to get started with. So if I want to get what are the jobs available at the root level of my Jenkins server, I need to add a new request. We'll right-click on the Jenkins repository and go to Manage Request Collections panel. We'll go to Request, click on the Add button, and add our first request. Get jobs at the root level. Give it a description. And this is the get endpoint that goes to /API JSON. No headers, no query parameters. Click on the test. And now you see a response. So that means our endpoint is correct, our credentials are correct. Click on Save. And that would add that request to Syndeia Cloud. And now if I expand that request, Syndeia Cloud is going to send a request to Jenkins, and Jenkins sends a response back, some data with 18 fields in there, and we can see the jobs. at the root level. And there's one job called sandbox. That's exactly what we wanted to get. And with that, Jenkins also provides us the URL for that job, which we can then use for subsequent requests. So now I want to get the contents of the job. Remember that that sandbox job had folders and other pipeline jobs underneath it. So we make a second request here, or add a second request here. We can clone the first one, and we could change the name, get jobs under sandbox. Request to get jobs under sandbox. And here the endpoint will change. So it'll be job/sandbox/API/JSON. Click the test button, you see a response here. Click the clone button. That'll add that request. We can go back to the Syndeia Cloud web dashboard, collapse and expand, and we'll see the second request added, get jobs under sandbox. We'll see a response coming back from Jenkins. And if I look at the jobs, we see 6 jobs, which corresponds to the 6 jobs or folders over here. When I expand the first one, we can see that's folder 1, that's folder 2. That is a Jama to Jira pipeline we have set up. This one is a Jenkins Jupyter job. This one is another job, a test job, and this one is a Teamwork Cloud to Jira pipeline. So we got all the jobs here. Now, if I want to query one specific job, in this case, we'll be interested in the Jama to Jira pipeline and look at all the runs of that job. We can do that as well. So now we're going to add a request for the Jama to Jira pipeline. So we'll clone one of the requests over here, change the name, so get Jama Jira pipeline, and change the description, request to get Jama Jira pipeline. And in this case, the method or the endpoint we want to call is a little different. So we're not looking at the jobs inside sandbox, but we want to look at the sandbox job and specifically the Jama to Jira pipeline job inside it, and then the JSON view of that job. Click on the test button, we get a response back. Click on the clone button, and now you can see the request has been added. Let's go and add another request, and here we want to specifically get instead of all the details of the pipeline. If I go to the Blue Ocean view here, I want to get a specific run. Let's say we want to get specific run number 38, which we know has passed, or we could get 40, which we know has failed. So here I'll clone the Jama to Jira pipeline request here, and now we're going to change the name, get run 38 of Jama Jira pipeline. Give it a description. That's not required, but it's good to have that. Request to get run 38 of Jama Jira pipeline. And now we're going to get to a specific run here. So if you look at the path here is job sandbox. We're looking at the sandbox job. That is a starting point /job/Jama Jira pipeline, and then number 38 run of that. So if I click on the test button, get a response back, click clone, that'll add that request. So let's go back to the dashboard, and now we'll investigate the results that we get from those 2 requests that we added. So the first one we added was to get the Jama Jira pipeline. If I expand that request, I get a response. If I expand that response, I can see the Jama to Jira pipeline here. I can see the last failed build. So number 40 was a failed build. I can see the last successful build here, or the stable build here also, which is request number 38 or run number 38. And we can see all the 40 builds over here. So you can go back and look at each of the runs, 40, 39, 38, and so on. So you can get all the details, or basically all the runs of that pipeline right from here. If I want to get a specific run, so run number 38 was the one we added, the second request. If I expand that request, we'll see a response here. If I expand the response, I can see the result of that run. It was a success. This was pipeline number 38. And we could see the next build and the previous build. So the next build would be 39, and the previous one was 37. So you get pretty much all the data that Jenkins is returning to Syndeia Cloud being displayed in the tree view. So hopefully that gives you an idea about how to add Jenkins using basic authentication, how to be able to fetch Jenkins jobs get all the runs of that job or pipeline, and look at specific runs that you may be interested in. And remember, the use case here is the ability to integrate data provided by Jenkins or any kind of CI/CD or IT process automation software with your digital thread to get a real-time status of your entire digital thread project. I hope that the video has been useful for you. If you have any questions or concern regarding this video, feel free to reach us at our help desk at www.intercax.com/help. Thank you and have a great day.